trailer. But
Yeah.
we'll start with the Batman, John, and we're not going to really have any sort of regimented structure to this. It's really just getting your thoughts, your feelings. We'll talk about some of the shots as well.
Chewing the fat.
Yes, that's the word. That's the phrase. And we'll talk about some of the images as well. We'll bring them up. We'll refer to who these sources come from as well, just to keep ourselves right.
Yes.
So I'm going to start with a very simple question to you, John. The Batman trailer, was it everything you expected?
Yes, it was, Stephen. Absolutely loved the trailer. The tone of it, the feel of it, the interesting little insight into the villains, the likes of the Riddler. Brief shot of a very different looking Colin Farrell as Penguin. I'm sure we've seen Falcone as well outside the building leading a sort of entourage. I'm pretty sure that was Carmine Falcone. We've seen them all. We've seen Jeffrey Wright's Commissioner Gordon as well. We've seen a sort of flung in a little Heath Ledger Commissioner. Terrible, but I flung it in nonetheless. We also seen apparently the ex-Commissioner, who was played by Trevor something.
Alex Ferns, yeah.
Alex Ferns, Trevor from EastEnders. Scottish. He grew up in where was it? He grew up just along the road.
Yeah.
Apparently, Lennoxtown.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a whole lot going on in this trailer for a 2-minute and 24-second long trailer. A teaser. 25% of the movie shot, Stephen. For him to give that much away, it was spectacular.
John,
Robert Pattinson as well.
We before we obviously talk about who featured in this, that's interesting you actually say that 25% of this movie has only been shot. We actually said last week, I think we might have quoted somewhere where they had still 3 months or something of filming to go, and we were pretty shocked they still had that much to go, but that's about right then. You know, it's probably right. You know, I think they're going to be working right up to the end of the year to get this out on schedule. But John, Robert Pattinson, you just mentioned them there. That suit as well.
Very impressive suit, Stephen. Yeah. Look, people were shitting all over the top of Robert Pattinson's suit, not Patterson. When it get initially revealed in that nifty little teaser, red background, just him standing broodingly.
Yep.
From the get-go, I really enjoyed it. I liked the concept of the two guns being sort of recycled or upcycled for the bat symbol on the chest plate. I love that the story of vengeance within this character, heavy hitting throughout the trailer.
Yeah.
Vengeance, I'm vengeance. He's obviously out seeking to sort of fight for his parents. I'd presume it'd be the loss of Thomas and Martha Wayne, is it? Yeah. Martha, yeah. Not Martha, my idea. And just obviously that being a visual sort of stimuli for him in his chest, this gun that perhaps took down his parents. That was in I think a comic book. It may have been Kevin Smith that spoke about it. That's where they gained the inspiration. I love the suit. I love the jagged edges. It's very concept-like. And there was a rumour that there will be 2 different bat suits in this. This will be in the first half of the movie. There will be a big event in a chapel or a church, and that's going to change things irrevocably for the character, and he will change the suit thereafter to a more refined suit. I hope he doesn't, though. I really like it. I like the bat cowl. It's leather. I like the cape. I like the chest sort of plate. I love the shoulder plates. I like it. It's nice. It's a good design.
It wouldn't be the first time that they've did that halfway through a film where he changed his suit for convenience and obviously adaptability as well. I think it was the Dark Knight it happened in, wasn't it? I think it was after the dogs attacked him and he did something about it. And I think as well to turn his head round.
That's right, yeah, it was.
I like the boots as well, John. You get a very good close-up of the boots. Yeah. They look very organic. They don't look like they're... They don't look like their standard issue, but there's something very homemade about them, if that makes any sense. It doesn't look like a billionaire has invested a lot in the suit.
No.
I'm not saying I could afford this suit or make this suit, but it doesn't look like your traditional Batman suit.
Probably premium Italian leather cowl that he has on. But yeah, man, look, I really enjoyed it. I loved Robert Pattinson in this trailer. The first shot we see of him, I think he's standing maybe in a room or something. And then we see him being overwhelmed by sort of cops by the looks of it in a cell. And then it obviously pops up with the hoodlums and whatnot. But we've got a whole array of images here, Stephen. I don't know if you want to crack into these.
I think the first one we actually see is the Riddler.
Yeah, the Riddler.
The Riddler, not the Riddler. Paul Dano, slurring my words. I'm not even drinking. Trust me, it's water, it's not vodka. But Paul Dano, John,
it's his,
I take it it's his narration we're actually hearing at the start of this.
Yes. Apparently it's not the Riddler. That's what I get told.
Well, someone said in the comments the duct tape was nothing to do with him either. So
strange.
It's strange. But
Stranger.
not traditional bowler hat and cane and looking very campy with the sort of
leotard,
the eyewear, you know. No, definitely not. You know, not a light up jacket that Jim Carrey had either, that he uses when he's jogging at night. What's your initial thoughts on Paul Dano though as the Riddler, John? I know it's very hard because it is a teaser trailer, but first impressions.
Stephen, I love Paul Dano. I think he's an absolutely stupendous actor. I've seen him in so many different movies. He's like a chameleon. He can form himself to just about any role. He's a really, really talented guy. I was really excited when I heard that they'd cast him as a Riddler because I could immediately see him portraying this slightly eccentric, borderline insane character who's just a step ahead of the curve, and he likes to toy with his victims and whatnot. And you see that in this trailer. He's posing a riddle to the audience and to the Batman himself.
But it's different, isn't it? It's not like the traditional sort of playing games. Someone actually mentioned in the comments, John, and I did get that feel at the time when we did the trailer reaction, was it had a 7 feel to it. Yeah. Very sinister. You know, and
John Malkovich, wasn't it? No, Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, yeah. Zodiac as well, it reeks of, I think, you know, in terms of tone. And
someone said The Crow as well.
The Crow. Yeah, I think so. I think for Robert Pattinson's makeup at the end, that did remind me a bit of The Crow, but it seems to be a different sort of angle we're going with for this Riddler character than we've seen before on film, isn't it?
Stephen, and what you mentioned the makeup. Robert Pattinson looks really paleo-wally, is what we say over here. He looks quite pale. He's a man who's not seen a lot of sunlight. He looks like a goth. I'm going to straight out come out and say it. He looks
Scottish.
He does look Scottish. He looks like us when we go abroad. We feel that we've got a good colour. Then we go on holiday and we discover that we are whiter than Casper.
It takes us a fortnight to get white,
Yeah, it takes us
start off pale blue.
Yeah, pale blue. Stephen, we're dead, essentially. We are dead over here. It's that cold. It's that just doom and glooming, cloudy all the time. Yeah, he looked like a goth, but Stephen, without getting off on a tangent about Robert Pattinson and Bruce again, but I'm going anyway, he looks like a totally different take on Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He's got the long hair, the floppy hair. I know that Christian Bale had the long hair, but it was slicked back 9 times out of 10. His hair's down. He looks like a borderline Johnny Depp, Tim Burton character. And he looks dark and vengeful, and there's issues going on within. And I like that. I like to see Bruce Wayne like that.
There's something else, John, I'd like to get your thoughts on in regards to how exposed is this character being to Gotham at this stage, at this point in the film? Batman, is he a new thing? Or, you know, like Ben Affleck's, everyone knew who Batman was.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't get to see his past life, but it was well told, you know, obviously within the film.
Yeah.
Batman v Superman. How much do you think we're into this character in Gotham real time, I feel like? And not just him, but also the likes of Catwoman, the Riddler, the Penguin.
Yeah, Penguin.
Do you think this is all like origins? I don't mean like grassroots.
No.
Like we're...
It's hard to speculate, Stephen, but I think that we are a reasonable amount into the Penguin's tenure in Gotham. I think the Riddler's probably been hanging around in the shadows, and obviously Falcone and whatnot, they'll be firmly established as they always are in these stories. I feel that Bruce is just coming back to Gotham. That's the vibes I'm getting. He looks as though, I mean, I say that, but he seems to have a connection with Commissioner Gordon already, and he's firmly involved with the police. He's standing next to the police, he's speaking to them. They're asking him, why is he coming after you? And think, unless that's maybe that may have been Andy Serkis's Alfred character, I may be wrong there, but I just get the feeling that he's not sort of been Batman in Gotham very long. And this, I think, the whole story of vengeance is him coming back into the city, re-immersing himself and taking down all the people who are perhaps responsible for his current predicament. He's obviously an orphan. Maybe it's the Penguin in this story who's indirectly involved in the killing of the Waynes. Maybe it's Falcone. Maybe I don't know. We're speculating heavily.
I laugh when you say the killing of the Waynes, because obviously it's a Scottish thing for children, and it sounds terrible.
I tell you what, Stephen, if the Waynes round here continue on in their current trajectory, then they are going to be meeting death. Believe me.
Now, John, I'm going to scroll down a little bit from this article down to glimpses of Selena Kyle. I missed it. I got to be honest
No,
with
I
you.
didn't.
I didn't realise that was her. It's a great shot as well. Looks
Yeah.
like she's breaking into a safe or something like that. I don't know. It actually looks like she's putting painter's caulk around something. That's one of those guns, isn't it? But I missed it. I think it was you actually made some reference to it at the very end of the trailer, and I said, I don't even remember seeing her. But there was so much going on in the trailer as well, to be fair, wasn't there?
Yeah, Stephen, I seen her mucking around with what looks like a safe or something like that in the trailer. Then I get a really brief glimpse of a cow, sort of cat cow, and then she's fighting with Bruce after it as well. They're having a sort of tangle. She's acrobatic.
Did you notice both of them had a standoffish moment though?
Yeah.
This was after I watched it for a second time. They had this moment where they met. It looked like for the first time to me.
Stephen, it could be. I love the sort of the complexity in the relationship between those two characters. There's something unique about it. We've seen it with Selena Kyle and Anne Hathaway and Christian Bale in The Dark Knight. Second half of the Dark Knight trilogy, also, she wasn't in The Dark Knight, wasn't she? She just popped up in Dark Knight Rises. And just start on off. 1 minute she's a villain and antagonist, then she flip-flops. She doesn't really know what she is herself. She kind of just does her own thing. And I like that. I like that about the character. I like the acrobatic nature of the character. We've seen that through various different incarnations. I think that Zoe Kravitz is going to be absolutely outstanding. She spoke about the chemistry with Robert Pattinson on the shooting. She's really invested a lot of blood, sweat and tears into the choreography and just the action side of things, the getting into shape. She's put her heart and soul into it, and you can see it already just through a brief glimpse that she looks the part. The suit looks the part. We've seen her on a motorbike, a double on a motorbike here in Glasgow when they were shooting it.
Yeah.
Clearly they're going to have some moments together, because obviously Batman was another character on a motorbike or a motorcycle for the Americans out there who are perhaps tuning in at some point.
Struggling with their accents, yeah.
Struggling with their accents. We got a comment again. Whatever. The two of them are together. So I think there's complexity there. And I liked the little glimpses into the character. I really enjoyed it. Acrobatic. She's up to the nefarious things as usual, trying to steal. And yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
I'm just going to... Yeah, it was brief, John. But most of it was, I think the most prominent sort of character in this obviously was Batman. But also... Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon was in at the very beginning of the trailer, looking very cool, looking the part as well. He had some narration as well, John, in this trailer, I believe. A lot of people are speculating that it's probably misdirection from Matt Reeves in regards to some of the narration was more directed at ourselves, the audience, but it actually has more to obviously reveal in the film that he's actually talking to certain characters. That normally happens anyway in trailers, so it's not going to come as a big surprise, but it's very cleverly done in this trailer.
Yeah, Stephen, it's very rare that a filmmaker will shoot a movie sequentially from start to finish.
Yeah.
They'll shoot out of sync, so they'll shoot maybe scenes from the end of the movie and they'll shoot scenes from the middle, then in the beginning, or perhaps, as you've seen, and I keep getting back to the Dark Knight trilogy, it's an easy sort of comparison.
Yeah.
First scene that obviously Batman and Joker filmed together, Christian Bale and Heath Ledger, was the interrogation scene. And then the first scene that Michael Caine seen the Joker was the party sequence. So they shoot them out of sequence all the time. And obviously with 25% of this movie shot, they're just going to use whatever dialogue that's intriguing that they can fit in and maybe form a slight narrative for the audience without giving the whole game away early doors in the teaser. And I feel like that's what they've done here with Jeffrey Wright's character. I can't recall exactly what it was he says. But he was referring, wasn't he, something, he made some comment and it was sort of framed in a way whereby it was pointed at Bruce, but I don't think it was. I think it could be to anybody, really. Really anybody in this movie. But I like the short little insight into Jeffrey Wright's character. Again, a guy who looks as though he's really passionate about the role. He's been reading the Golden Era sort of version of the character, the comics, old school. And he's going right into it, man. He's putting his heart and soul into it again. I love the Jim Gordon character, and I'm really intrigued to see a distinctly different take on it with Matt Reeves' version, and just what Jeffrey Wright's going to bring. I didn't notice if he had a moustache. Did he shave the beard off?
I think it was a moustache sort of beard. It wasn't like a big like the beard that Alex Fern had. Yeah. It wasn't like that, but you could see some growth there. But blink and you'll miss it moment, John. Colin Farrell's Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. And now I did see, I think it was in a car or something like that, I can't remember. And I kind of looked and thought, that's not him, is it? Or is that Falcone? I couldn't really make up my mind at the time, but it has been confirmed that it is Colin Farrell under, I'm assuming,
heavily
prosthetics,
prosthetic, yeah.
and he's not put that much weight on. I know that he put some weight on, John. You've showed me some of the
I've seen him
the photographs
sort of
coming out of
Starbucks,
fast food places and stuff like that to pile the pounds on. But again, I mean, when he was cast, I could not see him in this role.
No.
But at the same time, now I've seen him in the prosthetics, I'm like, why are they getting Colin Farrell to play it? Obviously, he's a great actor, but they could have got anyone for this, couldn't have?
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I suppose they could. But if he's available, he's a very good actor, Stephen. He does everything. We've seen him play, God, what was he, the coach in The Gentleman? From, when was that out? Late last year, early this year?
Yep.
The Guy Ritchie movie. He was really, really good in that. And we've seen him play just about everything. Colin Farrell, he's really good in the likes of In Bruges and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we know he's got that sort of darkness within him, and he's got the ability to give us some humour as well, which this character we've seen in Gotham has in spades. So it'll be, and I can't recall the DeVito one. It's been that long since I've watched it, really. But I'm sure he had some dark, humorous moments as well. Just that's innate with this character. So we've not seen a lot of it, but very intriguing to see him heavily under prosthetics. Doesn't look anything like Colin Farrell, as you did say. Terrible hairline, but he's got the sort of distinctive and hooked nose, and he's looking very vengeful in that shot, Stephen. He looks an angry man out for blood, baying for it.
Yeah,
some would say.
And just before we wrap up this trailer, sort of collective thoughts, John. That sort of group shot of these thugs in the makeup, almost Joker-esque. Now, there's not been any conversations or confirmations, I should say, about the Joker appearing in this film, but it's very Joker-esque, the makeup. Now, they
I reckon Penguin.
They ask, I think it'll probably be his sort of henchman. They do ask Batman who he is. I did think he was going to do that classic line, "I am Batman," but I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad, but then again, he might actually that might be a misdirection as well. That might have been part of a speech. I am vengeance. I'm Batman. You know, who knows?
Yeah.
But what was your take on this? Because this is obviously the beating scene. Now it's not confirmed whether or not this Dark Knight kills. It looks like he's very ruthless, but do you think they'll go that? Do you think they'll cross that line in this adaptation of the character? I
sincerely hope we do, Stephen. Again, golden era. I recall reading, I may be wrong, that there was no kill policy with the character back then. He just did what was necessary to sort of keep peace on the streets and make Gotham a good place. He wouldn't take a life if it was absolutely necessary. Again, I've not actually read it. I've just basing it off second-hand information. But Matt Reeves, we know, he posted the sort of first ever edition of Batman when it was confirmed he was directing it on Instagram. He's really attracted to the detective side of the character,
John,
getting right back to the roots.
Yep.
And you see it in this man. He's vengeful as hell. He's dark. He's brooding. He looks like a extremely angsty sort of Bruce Wayne. He beats 7 shades of shit out of this guy. He thoroughly deserves it. He's a little whiny, baldy bitch. That's what I'm going to call him. I can say it because I'm getting no hair either. I'm off getting more than him. Perhaps. But look, I digress, man. I'm going off on tangents. I really enjoyed this scene. This was a standout moment in the trailer. That and hearing Andy Serkis speak. Love Andy. Can't wait to see his Alfred. Loved the beatdown he gave him. And just the I'm vengeance. As you says, they could have went for the just bored, sort of tired line of I'm Batman.
Yeah.
Hey, freeze, I'm Batman. It would have been terrible.
Never leave a Batcave without it.
And Stephen, I do recall. Yeah, God, the credit card. Bat nipples.
Why does Bruce Wayne need a credit card?
I know, he's a billionaire. He could literally just walk in with a face like his and say, I want this, I want that.
Hey, freeze.
Well, good for it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But Stephen, I do recall, before I let you back in.
No, you're fine.
Production behind the scenes in London, there was shots of these guys sort of mugging somebody out running. I don't know if it was Bruce Wayne or someone else. If it was Bruce Wayne and then he gets a hold of them as Batman later on, then that may explain why he's saying I'm vengeance and kicks the shit out of them because they look scared, sense. Man.
Now, John, just as we wrap this up, this will be my final sort of thoughts on this before we move on to Zack Snyder's Justice League. A teaser trailer. It lasted over 2 minutes. Do you think they showed too much? Enough? Not enough?
No. No,
just the right amount.
No, it was like the Avengers again, Stephen. They only showed the stuff that happened in the first 15 minutes or something of the movie. I don't think he's given a lot away. He knows what he's doing, Matt Reeves. He knows not to give away the whole story. It's extremely important when you're dealing with this movie. It being a sort of new foray into this character, into a trilogy of movies. We've just got the balance right. They've gave us away just enough without giving the entire plot away, man. I'm confident of it. And look, even though it was 2 minutes and 24 seconds long,
yeah,
it was just briefly touching on things, giving us little glimpses and then pulling back out. It was almost like The Rise of Skywalker as a movie. You get 5 minutes and then off to somewhere else, and then off to somewhere else.
That's a perfect description, John. But I think it was enough. I enjoyed it. It's really making me look forward to this movie even more now. I thought we might have got maybe about half a minute to 45 seconds of a teaser. I didn't think they'd had enough.
No.
When people were talking about only shooting 25% of it, it's going to be too much condensed in the one sort of area of the film, and there'll not be enough to spread out. But it seemed to just work and flow perfectly.
And a shot of Glasgow.
Yeah, a shot of Glasgow as well.
The necropolis.
That's right. Yeah.
Fantastic.
But we're going to move on, John, because I'll tell you something. I can't wait for the full trailer now. when it finally comes out, when they finally get to shoot the rest of the movie.
Get to compare the sets and the open world, sort of different locations.
Well, that's a good point as well. But we'll move on, John,